Samagataha,
Samagataha,
assembled, Sarvataha, from all directions, Eva, certainly, Sarve, all of you, Vedaha, supreme knowledge, Yatha, as, Murtidharaha, personified, Triprishte, on the planet of Brahma, which is situated above the three planetary systems, namely the upper, intermediate, and lower worlds. Na, not, iha, in this world, atha, thereafter, na, nor, amutra, in the other world, cha, also, kaschana, any other, arthaha, interest, rite, save and accept, para, others, anugraham, doing good to, atmashilam, own nature. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The king said, O great sages, you have all very kindly assembled here, having come from all parts of the universe. You are all as good as supreme knowledge personified, who resides in the planet above the three worlds, Satyaloka. Consequently, you are naturally inclined to do good to others, and but for this, you have no interest either in this life or in the next. Kindly repeat the translation. The king said, O great sages, you have all very kindly assembled here, having come from all parts of the universe. You are all as good as supreme knowledge personified, who resides in the planet above the three worlds, Satyaloka. Consequently, you are all naturally inclined to do good to others, and but for this, you have no interest either in this life or in the next. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. 6 kinds of opulences, namely wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, are all originally the different attributes pertaining to the absolute personality of Godhead. The living beings, who are part and parcel entities of the Supreme Being, have all these attributes partially, up to the full strength of 78%. In the material world, these attributes, up to 78% of the Lord's attributes, are covered by the material energy, as the sun is covered by a cloud. The covered strength of the sun is very dim compared to the original glare. And similarly, the original color of the living beings with such attributes becomes almost extinct. There are 3 planetary systems, namely the lower worlds, the intermediate worlds, and the upper worlds. The human beings on earth are situated at the beginning of the intermediate worlds. But living beings like Brahma and his contemporaries live in the upper worlds, of which the topmost is Satyaloka. In Satyaloka, the inhabitants are fully cognizant of Vedic wisdom, and thus the mystic cloud of material energy is cleared. Therefore, they are known as the Vedas personified. Such persons, being fully aware of knowledge, both mundane and transcendental, have no interest in either the mundane or transcendental worlds. They are practically desireless devotees. In the mundane world, they have nothing to achieve. And in the transcendental world, they are full in themselves. Then, why do they come to the mundane world? They descend on different planets as messiahs by the order of the Lord to deliver the fallen souls. On the earth, they come down and do good to the people of the world in different circumstances under different climatic influences. They have nothing to do in this world save and except reclaim the fallen souls rotting in material existence, deluded by material energy. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the background for this verse is the incident that Maharaj Parikshit, who was the emperor of the world, he had gone hunting in the forest. He became thirsty. He could not immediately find water. Searching for water, he came across an ashram of a Muni, and he went inside looking for water. He did not find any water even there, but he found that Muni was sitting in meditation and his eyes were half open. That's the way the saintly persons who sit in meditation do meditate. So Parikshit looked at this saintly person, this Muni, the sage, and he thought maybe this person is feigning to be meditating just to avoid receiving me, who am a Kshatriya, because he thinks he is a Brahmana, he thinks he is superior to me, and therefore simply he is making a show of meditation. Thinking like that, also being very, very thirsty, not finding water, Parikshit Maharaj became angry. He picked up a dead snake that was lying nearby, put it round this Muni as a garland, and walked away from the place. Now, very, the Bhagavatam describes this, very, very unusual for somebody like Parikshit Maharaj to behave in this way. And the circumstances are also very unusual. So Srimad Bhagavatam goes on to describe that this particular incident happened to be a turning point in Parikshit Maharaj's life. The Acharyas explain that this particular situation was arranged by the Lord, who had two specific purposes in arranging this incident. One is that the Lord wanted Parikshit Maharaj to go back to Godhead. The second was that the Lord wanted Shukadeva Goswami to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam, making Parikshit his student. So, this unusual behavior by Parikshit was actually prompted by the Lord from within. But it is explained that when Parikshit was returning to his capital city from the forest, after having done this particular way he behaved towards the saintly person, he was feeling very much remorseful. He was repentant that I shouldn't have done it. I have done a very big mistake. I committed a greatly sinful act. This was the way Parikshit was thinking. And he was also thinking that I should never do this again. And for me to learn the lesson that I should not repeat this mistake, may the fire of that Brahmana's anger burn up my entire kingdom. May it completely destroy me, so that I'll never again even think of doing such a thing. So Parikshit Maharaj was completely repentant. And it is explained again by the Acharyas that just by the fire of his repentance, Parikshit Maharaj was completely cleared of the mistake. But still, as it is explained in the previous chapter, the son of that saintly person, Shringi, son of Shamika Rishi, he became very angry, a small boy, that his father was insulted by the king, and he cursed the king to die within 7 days. So when Parikshit Maharaj received the news of this curse, he thought, I deserve this. So he took it as an opportunity to retire from his royal duties, kingly duties. He went to the bank of the Ganga, a holy place, and sat there deciding to fast until death. And as soon as news reached other saintly persons that the Emperor Parikshit Maharaj has retired from his kingdom, all of them started arriving at that holy place. Now this particular verse pertains to Parikshit speaking to those sages. Samagata sarvata eva sarve. O great sages, you are all very kindly assembled here, having come from all parts of the universe. Now the description in the earlier portion of this chapter is that these great sages are described as those who could verily purify even a place of pilgrimage. That means they were all very, very great saintly persons. Then what is the purpose that they have come to this holy place? They have not come for their own purification. They have not come desiring any spiritual or material benefit. So they have come here actually to witness Parikshit Maharaj going back to Godhead. So this is a very, very rare event in the entire universe. It is described in an earlier chapter how similarly great saintly persons had assembled when Bhishma Deva was about to quit his body. Again, the same thing. Bhishma Deva was going back to Godhead. So therefore they assembled. Now, it's interesting to note that these saintly persons are all greatly accomplished. They have been described here. Veda yatha murti dharastri prushthe. They are all as good as Vedas personified. That means, Prabhupada explains here that they are fully cognizant of the Vedic wisdom, both mundane and spiritual. They are fully conversant with Vedic knowledge, material and spiritual. They are inhabitants of the Satyaloka planet. They live in the topmost planet. Now this is described in two ways. Triprishthe means above the three worlds, above Swarga, Martya and Patala. The lower planets, the intermediate planets and the upper planets. And another way it's described is it's topmost among the upper planets. Different ways this same thing is described. One classification is that Earth is the beginning of the intermediate planets. Below the Earth there are 7 planetary systems which are described as lower planetary systems. Earth, Bhu, Bhuvar, Swaha. We chant the Gayatri mantra. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Swarloka. These are the intermediate planetary systems. And above that, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka and Satyaloka are classified as upper planetary systems. So 7, 3 and 4. Totally 14 planetary systems. So if you consider this classification, then Brahmaloka or Satyaloka is the topmost among the upper planetary systems. But there is another description that Satyaloka is that planet of Brahma where the inhabitants are fully cognizant of Vedic wisdom. According to this description, Satyaloka is above the 3 planetary systems. It's beyond all the 3 planetary systems, where the inhabitants of the 3 planetary systems are not having the full Vedic wisdom. That means they are not qualified to go to Brahmaloka until they become fully cognizant of the Vedic wisdom. Now the result of the full knowledge of the Vedic wisdom is that they are free from the influence of the material energy which covers the real knowledge of the spirit soul. Prabhupada explains that the living entities have originally all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in a very small quantity. But under the influence of this material energy, their qualities are covered, just like the sun is covered by a cloud. You have experience, especially in winter, when the sun is covered by a cloud, the fog will completely be, blinding us almost. As soon as the sun becomes cleared, when the clouds clear and the sun shine completely becomes visible, immediately the fog is dissipated. So that original glare of the sun becomes almost dim or nil when the sun is covered by a cloud. Similarly, the original good qualities of the living being in this material world get covered by the material influence, and the living entities appear to be almost without any of those good qualities. So the process of spiritual life is clearing this material influence or material covering, so that these original qualities will begin to shine forth. And the example is given that the inhabitants of Satyaloka who are fully cognizant of Vedic wisdom, the mystic cloud of material energy in their case is cleared. Therefore, these saintly persons are described here as Veda Yatha Murti Dharastri Prushthe. Another result of this Vedic wisdom, cognizance of Vedic wisdom, is that they are practically desireless devotees and they have nothing to achieve either in this world or the next. They have nothing to achieve because they are completely self-satisfied. They are completely self-satisfied. So, being self-satisfied, obviously they have nothing material to gain. In the different planets, there are different facilities in terms of material achievement or material gain. And somebody who is aware of the fundamental defect of this material existence, Janma Mrityu Dhyara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. So the repetition of birth and death in this material world, and consequently the other inconveniences due to taking birth in this material world. Those who are aware of this defect in the material existence, they are interested in going to the spiritual world to become free from the repetition of birth and death. Whereas these saintly persons, they have nothing to achieve even in the spiritual world. Why? Because they are full in themselves, having realized their spiritual identity. Even though they may be in the material world, they are not subject to the repetition of birth and death. So what is their position? They are just waiting to go back to Godhead, and they have to wait till the universe is completely destroyed, till the end of Brahma's life. That is the position of the inhabitants of Satyaloka. Now contrast this with the position of a devotee who's completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. That Krishna explains in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. 7th chapter he describes knowledge of the absolute. Beyond knowledge of the material world, the material energy manifest as the material diversities, varieties, and the living entities who are superior spiritual energy. Krishna describes the controller of both, the origin of both, the source of both, the spirit soul and the material energy, as he himself. And this specific knowledge of the absolute as the source, as the controller, as the supreme, is specifically for those who are practicing bhakti yoga. Otherwise, all other practices only give the understanding at most. They may get the understanding that we are non-material. We are different from matter. We are spirit. And they may come to know the spiritual qualities as something wonderful, superior to matter. But such knowledge is inadequate for complete liberation. If somebody wants complete liberation, ultimate liberation, then there is a need for knowledge of the absolute beyond knowledge of the spirit and matter. So that is where self-realization begins. Self-realization begins when there is inquiry into the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jignasa, when Vedanta Sutra says, now that you have got the human form of life, inquire into what is Brahman. That Brahman doesn't refer to the spiritual nature of the living entity. No. That Brahman refers to the absolute truth. The absolute truth as ultimate truth, the ultimate source, ultimate controller of everything, including the spirit soul and the material energy. So that Brahman inquiry, when it is successful, then a person is able to understand the absolute truth. But that absolute truth also, complete knowledge in all aspects of the absolute truth, is not possible for anyone except those following the path of bhakti yoga. Through jnana yoga, one may come to the point of understanding the absolute truth as Brahman. Through Ashtanga yoga, one may come to understand the absolute truth as Paramatma. But only through bhakti yoga, one can understand the absolute truth as Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead beyond even Brahman and Paramatma. So, the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita particularly aims at explaining this secret of bhakti yoga. So first the knowledge of the absolute, and in the 7th chapter, and then 8th chapter Krishna describes attaining the supreme. Now in the attaining the supreme also Krishna describes that only those who remember him at the time of death while quitting this body can actually attain him after quitting the body. Now to remember him, Krishna says, you think of me always. Now thinking of Krishna always is not possible except for those who practice Bhakti Yoga. To specifically think of Krishna, one has to first have knowledge of Krishna, and then one has to connect with Krishna by the appropriate means, and then become fixed up in Krishna consciousness. This is a whole thing, whole secret about Bhakti Yoga. That's why Krishna, after describing as attaining the Supreme in the 8th chapter, he describes the most confidential knowledge. How to fix up the mind or the consciousness on Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Now Parikshit Maharaj actually is a devotee, but just for the sake of teaching us, what is he doing? He is apparently preparing for ultimate liberation. 7 days time he has got. Even though he is playing the part of a student inquiring from the teacher, a disciple inquiring from the spiritual master, as he does when Shukadeva Goswami arrives. But still, before Shukadeva Goswami arrives, he has already told the assembled saintly persons, kindly sing the glories of Vishnu. Already he has told that. But still, out of humility, he is telling the saintly persons that you all come here, you have no other purpose other than doing good to others. So kindly, that's the next verse, kindly tell me what is the duty of a person who's about to die. So in all humility he is making inquiry. And it appears that none of those saintly persons were able to give him definite instructions what he should do for the next 7 days so that he may achieve ultimate liberation. What is their position? They've all got to wait for liberation until end of Brahma's life. This is a normal case. Anybody who is not following the process which Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, the process of Bhakti Yoga, as explained by Krishna or explained by a spiritual master in this parampara, coming down from Krishna, the devotional parampara, they all have to elevate themselves to Satyaloka and wait for Brahma's life to be exhausted. Only then they can expect liberation. Otherwise not possible. Whereas this process of Bhakti Yoga, end of this life, you can go back to God. You don't have to wait. You don't have to even elevate yourself to Satyaloka. So that is the process that Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is talking about. You see, it is completely different from all other processes. All other processes. So that is what Parikshit is inquiring. And except for Shukadeva Goswami, nobody was able to tell Parikshit what he should do next 7 days so that he gets ultimate liberation at the end of these 7 days in this life. Only Shukadeva Goswami could describe. And that is what is glorified in the Bhagavatam, in the conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And that same thing Krishna explains in very brief. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.